and impulse. What momentum is, it is a measure of the motion of a body that is equal to the product of its mass and its velocity. Basically, a greater mass with a greater velocity is going to have more momentum. The letter that we're using for momentum is going to be lowercase letter p, even though momentum starts with an M. P is going to stand for momentum. Momentum is equal to the mass multiplied by the velocity of the object. A greater mass is going to result in more momentum, the same way a greater velocity is going to result in more momentum. Because the velocity is a vector quantity, meaning that it has magnitude and direction, momentum will also be a vector quantity. So momentum is going to be able to be negative or positive. In this case, we can see a white big truck and a smaller red truck that have the same velocity. Which truck is going to have the greater momentum? The white one, because if the velocity is the same, the greater mass results in a bigger momentum. If we have a truck, a train, a basketball, which of these ones has a bigger momentum? Well, we need to know what the mass is as well as what is the velocity. So in the case of the train, which would be about 1,000 kilograms that moves at 10 meters per second, and the basketball, which 0.635 kilograms that moves at the same velocity, which is 10, we're going to have that the train has a momentum of 10,000 kilograms meters per second, and the basketball has a momentum of 6.35 kilograms meters per second. Therefore, the momentum of the train is going to be greater. If we want to change the momentum of a body, we need to apply a force, and the longer that we apply this force, the greater the change in the momentum is going to be. Let's remember that the change in momentum is going to be basically a change in the velocity of an object. Impulse is the quantity defined as the force multiplied by the time it is applied. So for a longer time that we apply a force, the more impulse is going to be. And this change of momentum is equal to the impulse. How are these related to each other? When we look at the formula, we're going to have that force multiplied by time. Remember, force times time equals impulse. That is going to be resulting in a change in the momentum. Let's remember that change we write with the Greek letter delta, and momentum is mass times velocity. So delta mv will be equal to your change in momentum. What about the units? So the impulse is going to have units of newtons multiplied by seconds, and momentum has the units of kilograms meters per second. But there is no problem because the newton is actually kilograms meters per square second, and when we multiply that by a second, we obtain the units for momentum, kilograms times meter per second. So impulse tells me the time and the force that needs to be applied in order to change the momentum, or basically the velocity of any object. So if we had a small car with a mass of 800 kilograms, and that car is moving with a velocity of 27.8 meters per second, what is the momentum of the car? Well, the momentum is going to be the mass multiplied by the velocity. So we multiplied 800 times 27.8 to obtain a momentum of 22,240 kilograms meters per second. And then letter B, what is the velocity that a 2,400 kilogram car needs to have in order to have the same momentum as the previous one? Well, if we know that the momentum is 22,240 and we need to have the same momentum, we will just divide that 22,240 by the new mass, which is 2,400. That means that the velocity for the new car is only needing to be 9.3.